All right, welcome to another edition of SNL. A great one. We got to cover a practice today. We get to cover a practice tomorrow before the downtime. And the question heading into this one, would he or wouldn't he? Now, we arrived at camp. They were a little bit behind. We were told that CJ Stroud was going to be first. It got kind of weird. We were sitting in line waiting, and they said CJ Stroud's going to be partaking in a Make-A-Wish thing with ESPN. Please don't take any footage of that because ESPN is going to use it. So you just kind of felt weird. You were like, okay. That's interesting.
That didn't feel that weird to me, but okay.
Well, I mean, it was just kind of like, okay, cool. Then you walked in and the word kind of got around that he was going to throw. It was kind of a poorly kept secret. And the first hint was, well, you ask PR who's speaking at the podium, and CJ Stroud was speaking at the podium. So you immediately thought, okay, well, he might throw. Then the word got out that he was going to throw. Then we saw him throw, and we'll get into the specifics of that. But we got what we were wondering if we were going to see, and CJ answered some of the questions that we've had leading up to this point.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing for me was if CJ Stroud threw, there'd be no summer of shoulder speculation. There'd be no wondering all summer long what's going to happen at training camp. Was he hurt? He throws, and you can take a big, deep breath, exhale. All good. All good. It's not as bad as it could have been.
Not as bad as it could have been. And D'Amico Ryans, you could tell, he was a little bit tired of it. He started out his media availability, and we'll get in depth on what happened on the practice field. It wasn't just all CJ. But this was D'Amico Ryans and how he started his media availability, talking about CJ Stroud and the throwing that he did.
CJ threw today, right? All right. Yeah.
I mean,
CJ threw today, right? All right. Yeah.
Coach, you're the reason it was a story for 2 weeks.
Yeah, the surgery question was the interesting thing. The surgery, did he or didn't he have surgery? D'Amico Ryans wouldn't answer that. Now, I asked CJ about that afterwards, and he kind of put it to rest. And I thought that was naturally what the follow-up was going to be. But we know that he's dealt with shoulder pain in the past. So I just asked him, how is this different? Kind of setting up that opportunity. And CJ Stroud, he took the opportunity. So here was CJ Stroud after practice when I asked him about this shoulder pain as compared to shoulder pain in the past.
It teaches you not to panic. It's part of the game. Just like how pitchers, they take relief weeks and nights off. The same thing for all throwing athletes. You just got to be precautionary, and those things are bound to happen. It's not about if, it's about when, and you're just doing the right things to come back. So I never thought too much of it. It's not that big of a deal, and I did not get surgery or anything like that. I was fine. So yeah, I'm fine. I'm not. It's not as bad as people are making it seem.
All right, so there you go.
Now
says he's good to go.
We were not the people making it seem as bad as it seemed. We were just worried that he wasn't throwing.
No, I've said this. Anytime the quarterback doesn't throw in a practice, it's going to be a deal to me, especially when you factor in the past shoulder pain, especially when the coach comes out and won't say that he didn't have surgery, and the coach doesn't acknowledge the soreness till the second time. So yeah, and I still keep an eye on that shoulder. I mean, it's been kind of a thing with CJ for a while, but I think they were happy to put this to rest. You could kind of see D'Amico. And we saw him out there, and he was throwing pretty well. The first throw, the little dump off, I called it the most anticipated dump off in NFL history. That was the first toss that we saw, and then he went out there and did his thing. And there's also been kind of some talk about CJ Stroud's weight and how much bigger he does look. He is much more massive, especially in the lower body. Pause. And he also seems to have trimmed up, and he said that was a point of emphasis in the offseason. So the observation that we did have that perhaps he put on some good weight was something that he acknowledged as well.
Yeah, fine-tuned the body a little bit with the workouts, and it looks like he leaned up the midsection and added some muscle in the leg area. So it was a good day. You needed to see CJ Stroud throw before the summer just to give yourself a little bit of ease. And you got exactly that. And he looked pretty good. He said he had to knock off some rust, but I thought he looked pretty good out there for a guy that hadn't been throwing for the past few weeks.
Yes, as far as the actual on-field observations, so in 7-on-7, the Texans were starting at the 40, and the first throw, in quote, team drills from CJ Stroud, he sailed just a perfect flag route to Cade Stover for about a 15-yard gain that would have been near the red zone, if not there. That was the first one. His second throw, he had a pass intended for Christian Kirk out of the slot. Kamari Lassiter, PBU, the defense kind of goes crazy. And then on the next one, this was vintage CJ Stroud throw, kind of towards the sidelines. It was a perfect throw to Christian Kirk that would have probably been about a 20-yard gain. But Christian Kirk actually dropped it. But it was as good of a throw as – and you heard not Kamari Lassiter, Kalen Bullock mentioned that, Kirk has sure hands, but that was probably his first drop of camp. But that was probably Stroud's – I think it was his best throw of the day. Now, the one-handed grab on the very next play to Higgins is the one that's gone viral. Let's check that play out real quick. The Texans actually posted this one. This was after the Kirk drop. So this was the response from Stroud after the Kirk drop. He throws it down the sideline to Higgins, and Higgins catches it one-handed right there on the sideline. This was a dime too. You can see kind of getting good job by the social media. Just look at that. Boom. Higgins makes the catch. He gets up. Perfect throw by CJ Stroud. Crazy enough, the one before to Kirk, I think, was even better. So immediately you see CJ Stroud. He's throwing the rock. Speaking of Higgins, right after that, 2 plays after that with Davis Mills, he had a nice little slant/post route that he caught, in which I don't know if he takes it to the house, but he has a hell of a lot of space, and he has a hell of a lot of momentum heading into the towards the end zone. So probably would have gotten inside at least the 15, might have taken it to the crib. So Higgins had a really good start, and as did CJ, and all was right, and the throwing was well.
I thought Higgins had an awesome day. They were working on some red zone stuff against just air, and CJ threw one into the corner, and Higgins had sort of overrun the route a little bit, so he adjusted the top part of his body and just ripped it out of the air, taps the feet in for the completion. He was really good. You mentioned the getting open over the middle. He's done that a handful of times already through the open workouts, but really good day, highlighted by what I thought was the play of the day, the sideline catch on it with Kamari Lassiter right there.
Yeah, for sure.
Right there.
That was the play of the day. It might not have even been the throw of the day for CJ. So then we go, and I know this is what people are coming for. You want to know what exactly CJ did do outside of throwing. So we go to team 2, and mama, there goes that offensive line. Jailbreak sack. This is one of those who got the sack type of plays where I guess you could say Daniil got there first. You could say Will Anderson got there first, but
they had a picnic at the quarterback.
Yes, an absolute jailbreak sack.
Now it's worth noting. So the first time they put the first team out there, it was Cam Robinson at left tackle. The meeting at the quarterback came with Ariante Ursery at left tackle. So they swapped it up a little bit. Ursery and Fisher provided no issue for Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter. They just got right to CJ Stroud. I was just like, really, you're not going to get a hand on these guys? Come on. And I get it. I get they can't be as physical. It's not pads and this and that, but you can't even get a hand on them.
Then we had a diving kind of sliding catch by Xavier Hutchinson across the middle from Stroud. Hutchinson kind of he's
He had a couple of just sit in the zone catches today where he just kind of found the soft part of the defense and was right there.
It kind of feels like he's getting the opportunities that Mechie used to get. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that he's like in the same area or anything like that, but like whenever Mechie would have a good practice and he would pop, like it kind of feels like that pop has been replaced by Hutchinson. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're used to like the top tier guys catching, but then every once in a while you'll look up and you'll see Mechie doing something. It seems like kind of the feel, and naturally we think that Hutchinson is probably WR5, probably.
No.
6, WR6.
Yes.
Yeah, WR6. Yes, you got the 2 rookies, and then Nico, Kurt. Yes. So 6 and Watson. So yeah, WR6, which was kind of where Mechie was. It does kind of feel like Hutch was there. Excuse me for misspeaking there. Then you had a dump off to Stover, and then it was Keon Slovis time. By the way, Keon Slovis with an excellent back shoulder fade to Nico Collins in the back of the end zone. And I got to say, the red zone period, there were 10 reps. I actually marked each rep, 9 reps before practice ended in the red zone. And it was deep in the red zone. We were at about the 10-yard line.
Yep.
And they were playing with 7 seconds left. They were saying second and goal with 7 seconds left, or first and goal with 7 seconds left. There was maybe 2 touchdowns, depending who you ask. I said that Watson was going to score a touchdown. You said it would have been a sack. Petrie agreed. But there was actually only 1 or 2 touchdowns scored, depending on who you ask. And I know you say, and Petrie came and said that was a sack as well after you did. So there were only inside the red zone. And this is a combination of Mills, Stroud, and Slovis. 1 out of 9 times did they score. And I think this is going to be the theme, that the defense is just getting the best of the offense. In part because the offense, there's a lot of question marks, but also because this defense is just really effing good.
Well, and it's a scenario that greatly benefits the defense too. You mentioned it. 7 seconds left from the 10-yard line. And if you don't see something right away, you got to just get rid of it so you have another play to live. Like it's one where you got to win quick and you got to make a quick decision. And there weren't a lot of guys immediately open in the red zone as everything kind of got compressed there. I counted 1 touchdown. It was Nico Collins mossing Tremont Smith. And then, like you said, Watson had the catch. I thought it was a sack. And then D'Amico Ryans was giving Jake Hansen a hard time and signaled touchdown on a John Mechie play. But the official had ruled him down. Hansen had to slow down to not crush John Mechie.
Quite frankly, that might not have even been caught because Mechie kind of bobbled it up and Hansen let up. I got to think in a game, Hansen's grabbing him and throwing him to the ground, and that's going to be a hard one to catch.
And then I saw D'Amico Ryans smiling at Jake Hansen, who was on the sideline. Hansen's looking, and D'Amico goes, and Hansen's like, no. And the rest of the defense is like, no. So I think D'Amico was just giving Hansen a hard time because live rep, he smushes Mechie like he's a fly in a windshield.
I would say as far as like under the radar good days, I don't know if you have gone this far into the but I think that I actually think Tremont Smith had a pretty good day, and not just at special teams. He was one of the 4 guys back for punt return in special teams periods. The punt return guys were Christian Kirk, JJ Taylor, Miles Bryant, and Tremont Smith. Those were the guys back.
Noel saw Justin Watson catching some too.
Yeah, Noel was on the side. Yeah, Watson went in there in ST2. But Tremont Smith actually, he might have had the defensive play of the day where there was a fade in the end zone, and it was on red zone rep number 2. He went up and broke up the pass, and it was probably the most exciting. This defense stays excited on the sidelines. They stay very engaged. But it was probably the most excited reaction that we saw from the DBs was when number 11 went up and had the pass breakup. So we talk about corner depth. I think Tremont Smith's value to this team is perhaps their creme de la creme number 1 special teams player. But I thought he actually did a really good job for himself today at cornerback. And maximize the opportunities he had.
Yeah, it was full extension above his head. He batted that thing down, and it pissed Nico Collins off, and that's why he mossed him a few plays later. Like it's
hey,
Nico doesn't get heated on a lot of stuff, but he was mad because that was 6 right there until Tremont Smith made a play.
If you're going 50%, against Nico Collins on back shoulder fades in the red zone, and you're a CB 3 through 5 or whatever, you're doing a decent job. So
you're having a great day.
50%. It's not a good free throw percentage, but it's a good percentage when you're going one-on-one against one of the 5-10 best wide receivers in the NFL.
Yeah, Tremont Smith I thought Jalen Smith had a couple of nice moments.
He did too. They get real excited about him too.
He arrived when the football arrived on Irv Smith, and a little bit of contact, was able to knock that thing away. Had a pretty competitive rep defending Jaden Higgins at one point. Derek Barnett, he's a limited rep guy. He doesn't need a lot, and they're not going to use him a lot. And he went out there and he showed Ursery what an NFL defensive end looks like. That was a rough one. And then I saw Darrell Taylor have a couple of pressures and got in there for a tackle for a loss as well. So again, that depth at defensive end, the defensive line obviously is led by Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter, but they should be a pretty deep group inside and behind those two studs at the end as well.
Yeah, the defense is interesting because I put on my obs as we were watching that the D-line, like at full strength, they passed the eye test. They passed the getting off the bus test, especially with their surroundings. Like, it was hard. And I was glad you caught me saying this last time, because I was talking about how unimpressive the D-line looked at the first OTA. And you're like, well, Rankins wasn't there. Heinisch wasn't there.
Edwards wasn't there. Fadakasi wasn't there.
And I was like, okay, yeah.
Barnett wasn't there. Okay. Autry wasn't there.
So they do look – they look the part, though. So, like, all the concern about DT and all that, I think this does look like an extremely good defense. I do wonder, though, and we're probably getting a little too ahead of ourselves, but, god dang, we got a big-ass sample size of this now. At some point, Autry has to prove that he can be consistently available. And I know that camp hasn't started yet, and a large part of our talking has been maybe like reacting as if, they have to play a game tomorrow. But, he was on the side field again today, and you just got to think, as you're talking about a guy that's been in the league over a decade, at some point, especially with all the extra guys that they added and the guys we mentioned, you got to wonder, is he a lock to make this team?
I would say far from a lock. Far from a lock. Especially if he's banged up or he can't go in camp for any reason, or he has to take, reps off because he's on a rep count or something. There's plenty of young guys that could go in there and snatch that spot from him. So, worked out on the side field today. The side field was busy today. You mentioned Jalen Noel was over there.
He seems fine. He walked over the team and everything like that. So he seems fine.
You had Berrios still coming back from the ACL. He's on the side field. Brevin Jordan was on the side field running around, running some pretty good speed out there from him. And then Henry To'oTo'o and Christian Harris on the side field as well. And
Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce joined later.
Okay.
But I did see DP. I think he came out there probably like over halfway till practice. So Dameon Pierce, no side of Joe Mixon. So as far as the running backs go, not a lot of teamwork if any, for Nick Chubb. I think it was kind of a day of observing for him. But there was no Dameon Pierce and there was no Joe Mixon. Dameon was out there on the side field doing whatever he needed to do, whatever's wrong with him. So no sign of Joe Mixon, though. We got our first look at Gardner Johnson, Daniil Hunter, Rankins. He looks bigger too, by the way. But
Edwards,
yeah.
Edwards looks like he's bulked up a little bit to play a little bit more defensive tackle.
Yeah, because he was listed as an end. He's anticipating being the DT, but I feel like Daniil Hunter's arms got bigger.
I think they did, and it wasn't. It's not the bicep. They already were enormous. It's like he had a new muscle on the outside of his forearm, and I was like, I didn't even know you had a muscle there. And it was like, how is he somehow bigger than he was last year?
I don't know, but he looked bigger, or else he had just lifted weights before he went out there.
I don't know. It's just he probably missed his call. I mean, he's great as a football player. It's super profitable endeavor for him. But if he hadn't been a football player, I mean, he probably should have been a bodybuilder. Like, it's crazy. Again, I was like, I think I was standing next to you. I asked you, I was like, did his arms get bigger? And you were like, probably. I was like, yeah, he probably did.
He's a massive human. So I do wonder, like, as we're watching these practices, like if we had to set an over-under, how many times does the offense get the best of the defense in training camp? And last year I thought it was interesting because when we go back on it, and this is kind of hindsight, there was talk with Slowick, and D'Amico said it as well, that they were purposely, and you can correct my words if I'm wrong, but it was basically something along the lines of, we're purposely trying to make it extremely hard for CJ Stroud when it comes to practice and stuff. And look, I don't know whether they even have to do that with the defense, but I do wonder if, I don't know if you tell them to tone it down or what, but it's not going to be too often that this offense gets the best of this defense.
No, I would say today though, like there were lots of productive plays for the offense that weren't like big explosive plays. Like they were, 2nd and 6 and they moved the chains, stuff like that. There were a handful of those throughout the course of the day, but they, outside of Higgins down the sideline in 7-on-7, which is, totally different than teams, and Nico mossing Tremont Smith, like there weren't a lot of just like, ooh, plays for the offense. Like there, once you add in that defensive line, it was a lot of like, oh snap, get the ball out quick, like because the D line's coming for you. And so there's a lot of short stuff, a lot of quick over the middle stuff, which they couldn't do that last year consistently. So at least it's good to see it early on here. Like CJ can at least, okay, that big read's not there. Boom, get rid of it. There's a quick short answer. Let's keep the train on the tracks and keep moving. Like they couldn't do that consistently last year. So at least we've seen that a little bit early on here in some of the team stuff.
Yeah, and let's get into the offensive line in a sec. First, though, it is SNL. We're giving you observations from practice. Man, I'm happy we get to cover a practice tomorrow, man.
Oh, yeah.
What I was saying to you as I was leaving, I was like, man, covering practice is so fun. I'm so glad that we get to cover another one, and then we get some downtime, and then the real fun stuff happens. But it's covering a practice, and this was an active one. Like the mini camps, it gets a lot more active. These are the best. This is a blessing, and we're very blessed to be able to provide it to y'all. So it's definitely fun times.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's great. It's great. And we're there and we love watching it. We pay attention the whole time and it's good.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
HDAV Traveler says, sound like shoulder gate is over with. Yes, it is. Logan Taylor says, did Chubb look like he still had juice or pop? You could not tell.
He looked fast on one rep that I saw him run when there was just running backs getting handoffs, but I didn't notice anything else from that.
Jacob says, with those arms, Danielle Hunter could kill me with one punch. I would be right there with you, friend.
Yeah, it does feel like one of those situations where you would be very hurt with Danielle Hunter physically assaulting you.
Yeah, it also feels like you would have to really be a slime ball to piss him off because I feel like he could keep his cool.
Yeah, he does feel like a pretty level-headed guy.
Yeah, I don't know if that would be the case with like Derek Barnett or any. Like, I don't know if I could talk my way out of trouble with Derek Barnett, but I think I probably could with him. I think I could reason with him.
Yeah, if Derek Barnett decides to whoop your ass, he's going to whoop your ass.
It's done. But I also think that's hard to do too because he just kind of stays to himself.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't even interact with you. He'd probably just walk away.
Kyle Nance says, what's the word on Higgins? Chat was blowing him up when I joined. He had a good day. He had the one-handed grab with CJ, and then he had the post, whatever slant, whichever it was, with Mills, where he went across. I think he reminds me of Drake London. I mean, I think I know Nico's the comp, and that's great, but he reminds me of Drake London. I think he's a nice complimentary. It's very easy to tell that this guy's played basketball before. And that was his best sport in high school. And I think that's the interesting thing about him is part of the reason why he didn't get highly recruited. And we're kind of revisiting draft talk, but I think it's relevant now. Was because he didn't start fully focusing in on football till junior year. Junior year just happened to be 2020-ish. So probably not the best time to get on the on the recruiting meter. So, but it's very easy to tell this guy's played basketball before when you see him out there. And by the way, he's not, we said this too. He's not skinny. Like, it's not like for someone that's like that age and everything, like he's not a skinny dude.
Nope. Noel's not either.
No, Noel looks like an NFL slot receiver.
He walked over from the side field to watch the offense, and it looked like a tank rolling over there. Okay, all right. Not Tank Dell, a tank.
A tank, yes. A tank. Yeah, they got some good size at wide receiver and some good variety. So that's all good. We're talking about the defense. We're talking about CJ throwing. We'll hear from CJ Stroud in a second. We're talking about the receivers. We got to get to that offensive line, though. And we know that Cody Stutes likes to talk about them offensive line. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start on the good moments, or do you want to start on a guy who had a tough day? Let's ask the chat. Let's ask the chat. Good news, bad news. Good news, bad news. Do you want the good news first, or do you want the bad news first? That's really where we'll start. I'm always get the bad news out of the way first. That's me. I think the chat wants bad news first too. So give us the bad news in regards to the O-line.
Ariante Ursary had a tough day. He had a tough day. Daniil Hunter got him. That's to be expected. But Derek Barnett getting him as easy as he got him, that wasn't great. And then just some of the heat was coming from the tackles mostly. Like he have a rep where, he took care of his business, but maybe there was some other pressure from the other tackle side, and then the quarterback's having to step up. Like he had a couple of stalemates where he went even with the guy. Casey Toohill was the guy that couldn't get past him, but Hunter just right by him, and then Barnett, gave him the what for as well. But that's to be expected when those two guys. I mean, that's one of the best edge rushers in football and a longtime veteran that knows all the tips and tricks. And it was really, I haven't seen. You saw this with Fisher sometimes last year, where somebody get in him and move him a little bit. You saw it with Titus a lot, despite his size. Nobody's getting in Ursary and kind of going through him. It's all around him stuff. So I wonder if an element of that is just
to go through.
I wonder if an element of that is just technique and timing. And once he kind of gets used to that at the NFL level, it'll be easier for him to handle some of the speed that he goes against. He got a shout out from D'Amico Ryans on his footwork improvement and his ability to stay low as a tackle, which is something that D'Amico was critical of Blake Fisher for last week, which I thought was notable. So I thought Ursary had a little bit of a tough day. And I know your favorite, he was out, and then Trent Brown right over there, just boom, 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 with all the advice.
Yeah.
All the coaching.
Yeah. So the Ursary thing I think is interesting because, and this was the same thing with Fisher last year to a certain point, but I mean, you're basically swinging with the donut right now. It like when you're in the on deck circle and you're swinging with the donut, and then all of a sudden you take the donut off and it's easier to swing the bat. When you're battling Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson, it's probably gonna get easier in a game. I mean, just being honest, it's gonna get easier. So I kind of got to be a little bit sympathetic and a little bit compassionate there. Trent Brown's an interesting dude because, like, as soon as team happened, like all of a sudden, like I see out of the corner of my eye, as soon as like the offensive line are out there and 7-on-7's done, you see this massive effing dude, one of the biggest guys I've ever seen. Like as far as just being a massive, like tall, like you see him like kind of walking, and it's almost like he's a mean ass MMA or WWE wrestler. He's just walking, like he just appears out of like the thing, and he's just walking to the side, and they're up here practicing, and you see him just walk like he's about to fight. Then he turns left and he walks, and he goes right to the right of D'Amico Ryans, and he is watching Ursery like a hawk. Like the whole time, just basically, he's with the coaches. Like,
yeah,
it's not like he's watching.
He's the only non-coach standing there.
He is making it clear that he is watching. This is not just like sideline coaching. He walked over there with a purpose. He was spying on Ursery, just watching everything. That period you say that he had where Ursery struggled, Brown follows him to the sidelines, takes him to the side, talks to him for probably like 2.5, 3 minutes. Only reason I know this is because there's a clock during the time. And then right after he talks to Ursery, he goes over there and he's watching Blake Fisher like a hawk in the next one. And as soon as that's over, he's going and talking to Blake Fisher. So look, I don't know if Trent Brown plays football for this team, but he is acting like a freaking coach. And I don't know if that's something that he wants to do in the future. I asked D'Amico Ryans about it. We'll get more into that in the night stream. We'll hear from CJ Stroud in this one, but there is definitely like a desire and an intense desire by Trent Brown to coach up Ursery and coach up Blake Fisher. And as a guy who not only is an NFL vet, but has played for Popovich and Kaylee, I think it's a valuable asset to have. But he is locked in. He is locked in, and he's right there. And he sticks out like a sore thigh, not thumb, thigh.
Yeah,
like he's a big ass human being.
Yeah. That and D'Amico Ryans kind of mentioned it, like with Aziz knowing what he wants out of the linebackers, having a little bit of experience of what Trent Brown wants out of the tackles is important. And Ursery's he's a huge guy. Like Trent Brown's 6'8", Ursery's 6'6". Trent Brown's nearly 400 pounds or whatever. Ursery's whatever he is. Like there has to be something that's unique to those tall players that has to get conveyed and put across. And I think that's an important element too. Ursery's a bigger player than some of the other tackles across the league. Trent Brown's one of the biggest as far as tackles that have played recently. So there's an element of that too. Not only the experience between the ears with Popovich and Kaylee, but just, hey, I'm a big guy. You're a big guy. These are challenges I felt, let's make sure that you don't have to go through some of those challenges.
Man. Yeah. He's locked the F in. Like he was very, very intent. We'll get to the good offensive line moments. There is good news. There is a half full glass with that. But first on the soup, James R says, according to ESPN, Hunter had the highest edge pass rush win rate, win 75 out of 287, PRWR 26%. So let's cut him some slack.
Well,
yeah, no, we are. We know that it's not an easy task. We did for sure. Yeah, we know. Trust me, we did.
You can still get a hand on the guy.
Yeah, no, we did. Like we're definitely cutting him slack, but yeah, it's there. So yeah. So give me some good stuff with this offensive line. Give me some good news, Cody. Quit being so negative.
So I really felt like the pocket for the quarterback to step up into was available for most of the day. Now, there was a moment here or there where a defensive tackle or a defensive end kind of got in there. But for the most part, if there was pressure off the edges, there was room for the quarterback to take a step and make a decision. And there weren't just like, how many times last year did we watch? And there was just an immediate failure somewhere along the offensive line that just ruined what you could do. There wasn't hardly any of that today. Like, again, every now and then defensive tackle wins his rep, boom, he's in there. But the cleanliness of that opportunity for the quarterbacks to step up. I saw all three quarterbacks at one point today. So that's three different lines, really four different lines because they adjust some things with the first team. It's like four different lines and four different groups of players creating that pocket for the QB to step up, make a quick, short decision because there is pressure. There is stuff coming off the edge. So, the edges, tough job, more talent out there at the edges than there is a defensive tackle. But the interior guys, they had a couple of nice moments keeping that thing clean for the quarterbacks to be able to step up in there, which is something, again, we didn't see consistently last year. So,
and that's why I kind of think that touchdown to Watson, I kind of thought Stroud stepped up pretty nicely there. I kind of think he might have been able to get away. You and Jalen Petrie disagree. I kind of think that could have.
Petrie's not an unobjective observer, though. He's on the defense. Of course, he thinks it's a sack. I'm objective or unobjective, whatever I need to say. You know what I mean?
So yeah, some good stuff on the O-line.
I did see one thing to just kind of pay attention to is mini camp tomorrow, not so much, but when training camp gets here, third team Juice Scruggs. That's
yeah, I really think the Ross Blacklock comparison that we've thrown out there, where Ross Blacklock was a second-round pick released in his third year, I do think that Juice Scruggs could very easily be that guy, and we could see him.
Yeah, I
mean it's clear to a lot that Jared Patterson's been the better center, and you factor in Andrews and some of the other things. I do think Juice Scruggs is in. He's fighting for his job. He's not fighting for a starting spot. He's fighting for his job. There's zero doubt about that.
Oh yeah, and 3 sacks to note. 1 by Keontae Hamilton. He beat Eli Cox. Eli Cox is the undrafted free agent center. Cox was playing guard, though, because Scruggs was playing center. So he beat Cox for a sack. And then Solomon Byrd, I've got him down between OTAs and minicamp today. I've got him down for 4 sacks in team periods. So I think he's 25, 26 at this point now, but Solomon Byrd had a couple of sacks on this one.
Good old Solomon Byrd, man.
Remember Casario? He's like, he's 25. He's got a family.
Yeah.
His
mentioned in that.
His kids must be in college by now. It feels like he's been around forever.
But let's hear from CJ Stroud here on SNL. Landry Locker, Cody Stutes with you, giving the in-depth observations. This was CJ Stroud just being asked, like, how did it feel to be back out there throwing the football with your team? Here's what CJ had to say.
Hey, man, I'm very grateful to be back out on the field. I'm a little rusty, made some throws, missed some throws, but I'm just very grateful to be out there with the guys and have a time to, compete before we go a couple days away into camp. So I'm very excited to be back, but, just iron sharpen iron, trying to talk a little smack, but it was great.
I didn't think he looked that rusty, to be honest with you, but if he says he's rusty, then okay. I think it's going to get better. That's fine with me.
It's good expectations. D'Amico said he kind of enjoyed the CJ trash talk. He mentioned that it was nice to kind of get that element of everything. And CJ actually mentioned his offseason, the maintenance, the rehabbing, all that type of stuff as well, which is very noticeable just when it comes to looking at the body transformations that we always speak of early. Here's the man himself talking about that.
A little bit, just I took this offseason very serious. I'm just working hard. I'm trying to get my body right. So I was here like pretty early with Clint, our strength guy. So I've been working really hard on getting my body right, losing body fat, trying to be faster, stronger. And it really went really well. But there's always risk and reward, So there's always risk to working hard. So it was a great offseason. I think I got that done, but also, I wouldn't say that was the reason why. Just a lot of everything, so.
I mean, he kind of said basically I went hard in the offseason. That's why my shoulder hurt without saying that. He kind of walked it back there at the end. But, if you're trying to read between the lines and guess, which is a dangerous exercise sometimes, it does sound like maybe a little hard in the weight room and wakes up and the shoulder's not feeling just right. And the team's like, whoa, shut it down.
Yeah. That's kind of scary with the shoulder. And I'm the shoulder seems like it's just been something that's kind of lingered around. So I'm not like all shoulder concern is not dismissed, but at the very least it was minimized today. And it was a busy offseason, and CJ did say that the work could have contributed to the general soreness.
Well, and he also said too, I'm fully healthy. I can put the ball where I want to put it. I can be accurate. I can put zip on it. So, there's seemingly not any sort of long-term effects for whatever happened. Again, speculating that he just went hard in the workouts and maybe woke up a little sore and they were overly cautious.
Yeah, he also said that he threw, but nobody saw. And I asked him if this was different, and he did confirm that we heard earlier that there was no surgery. So gave him a chance to put that out there. And he actually, good job by him anticipating the follow-up, man. That was a clear setup of, was there anything different? And then he anticipated the follow-up, and I was like, yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
I'm surprised you didn't hit him with I have this question and I have a follow-up.
I just said, hey, how is this different than your other shoulder stuff? And has it helped you? And then he said, and I didn't have surgery. And I go, oh, well, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
So he said it. So there you go. Bada bing, bada boom. How about that? How about those instincts by CJ Stroud? That's Ohio State education right there. Promise you, that's an Ohio State education.
How about the next time they tell us they don't listen? It's like, CJ addressed that he didn't have surgery because people were saying maybe he had surgery.
Yeah. And that's why that's what I like. I was sitting there and I was like, man, we're not going to leave this press conference without hearing him at least say whether he had surgery or not. Right. So then it was like, hey, was this different? And boom.
Yeah, you got in there and asked that question. I thought you were about the officials about to call an over the back foul on you. You're standing so close to me when
I was getting zoned out, bro. I was getting blocked out by you, and there was other people there that aren't usually there, on the side. They took DJ and Jonathan's spot. But yeah, that was.
I was waiting for the official to come in and be like, over the back.
Hey, I don't have to go over the back. I'm taller. That's why DJ was coming over. I was like, hey, get up there. I got you. I'll be able to see over you, my brother. Gavin King says, just got off work. What did I miss? You missed a lot, man. You might have to rewind.
Yeah.
You missed a lot. CJ. All right. Let me put it this way. CJ threw.
Higgins caught.
CJ threw. Ursery blew. Trent Brown taught. Higgins caught a lot. There you go. There's a little rhyme for you.
That's good. I like that. Nursery rhyming.
So that's the thing. Special teams, is there anything that's sticking out on special teams? I'm trying to think, because does it feel like they're kind of, I don't want to use the word half-assing, but they're not really going very hard on special teams.
No.
I feel like that's one of the biggest differences. The offense and the defense looks kind of the same as it does in training camp, although it obviously naturally intensifies. But for the most part, you're getting the same experience. But the special teams, it seems like they kind of it's not as intense during the mini camps and the OTAs.
It feels very technical. It feels very technical. Not it doesn't feel like there's hardly any full speed element. They have not had a flat out today. Certainly they didn't, a flat out punt, gunners, and everybody try to go get the guy.
I don't even think they've kicked off.
And
have they kicked off?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
They didn't. I don't think they've kicked off all offseason.
Well, here's the thing: having to go inside a couple of times.
Yeah, inside throws it off. Yeah,
drastically changes what they can do. But it does feel like it's been very technical. Quick adjustments, teaching moments with guys at different points, and they may save that for training camp where guys just go balls to the wall, full bore.
Yeah, but as far as special teams,
I think it's
Hutchinson is a big part of it. Mechie was actually on pump block. Got kind of a little bit of extra coaching from Frank Ross. I don't know if he liked the rep.
Mm-hmm.
But there hasn't been a lot. Someone asked who was returning punts. We said it earlier. It was Christian Kirk, Miles Bryant, Tremont Smith. Watson caught one.
And Watson caught one, and then Watson didn't catch one. And then it was like watching a toddler try to chase a ball down a hill as he tried to corral that ball. It bounced off his chest, and he went to go pick it up, and it just kept, footballs have to
just not returning punts. By the way, he's on special teams too. He's on first team special teams too. He's on first team returns. So I think Watson will probably be a two-phase player.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really what stuck out of practice as far as the three phases and anything else. I can't really think of anything else that was really overly crazy. Oh, I'll say this. If we're talking about, I think Cade Stover might have had one of his best days as a Texan, like practice-wise, like an under-the-radar kind of really good day. I thought Cade Stover had a pretty good one today. Now, it wasn't like phenomenal, but I mean, he caught that first pass from Stroud. He caught some dump offs. I thought Cade Stover had a pretty good day.
Oh yeah, I mean, and then he just looks more comfortable running with the football and running routes. It just looks a lot more comfortable than last year. Whereas last year, there was like a start and stop, maybe think through it. But that first play, I mean, just easy breezy, gets into the soft spot of the defense, catches the ball, and then turns it upfield. And in a live rep, he probably tries to go through the safety. So, I mean, it looks a lot better for Cade Stover already. I thought Schultz looked like he was a little bit more spry today than he did last year. So I thought that was notable.
Gardner Johnson, people were asking about him. Didn't really see a ton.
Didn't see much. And MJ Stewart was on the field over him.
For a little bit. Yeah, and he knows there's a little bit more familiarity there. They love MJ Stewart.
He's the new Eric Murray.
Yeah, they really enjoy MJ Stewart. But I also think that like if Gardner Johnson thought he was going to come into this DB room or this defense and like be like, I think he can provide some juice. But you're going to have to really crank it up a notch because these guys are fucking wired up on the sidelines. Mm-hmm. And excuse my language, but they are effing wired up on the sidelines for sure. I mean, it is a very vocal, active, competitive group on defense. All these guys.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They're into every single thing, whether it's the first team, second team, third team, and they are really, 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 really. Really good. This is a good defense.
Nick Neiman with Azeez Al-Shire in 7-on-7. So his coverage ability might be a big positive for him.
He dropped an INT. But he was there.
His little skinny arms probably couldn't hold on to it. I keep saying that. One day I'll probably kick my ass for it. And then I know Kamari got beat on the Higgins play. But there was a play in the red zone where he was physical with Jared Wayne in the air and kept Wayne from getting the other foot down. So Wayne caught it, and Kamari pushes him out of bounds, and Wayne can only kind of stick his 1 foot in bounds. And I thought that was a really good play by Kamari Lassiter.
Yeah, that was a good PBU. That got a lot of people excited, but it was actually – Wayne did everything good except hold on to the ball. Poor Wayne. I feel like he gets treated unfairly by a portion of the fan base. They won't let it go. They won't let the Kansas City stuff go. It's tough. It's tough out there for Wayne. It's been a tough week for Wayne's. Lil Wayne's getting killed on the internet. They're calling him Shaq on the Celtics. And
the new album.
The fade. I don't know. I can't make myself listen to my goat like that.
Oh wow! You just turn it on the old stuff.
Just gotta let him. I'll just turn on some Pandora mix or something like that and ignore that Wayne. Can't do it like that.
Okay, so the Lil Wayne not getting the love on the new album, huh? That's unfortunate.
He's getting roasted, man. It's a tough week for Wayne's, dude. Tough week for Wayne's. But yeah, that's really all we got, I think. Nothing else stuck out. Nick Caley, you already hate Nick Caley, which I think is interesting.
That's the wrong way to say that.
Yeah, he already hates Nick Caley, and this is why. This is just the Cody Stoots selfish nature of just why he hates Nick Caley.
I'm annoyed that Nick Caley doesn't wear the same thing every day so that he's easier to spot. He changes his clothes every day. Felt like Bobby kind of stayed within.
Nick.
Yeah, Bobby always had like the goofy ass long sleeves and the shirt and like the freaking generic ass ball cap. But he always had to wear like the just freaking like long sleeves under the t-shirt. And it was like, Bobby, man, like, what are we doing? I feel like Kaylee, I'm not gonna say he's Deion Sanders. I don't think he's looking in the mirror that much, but there's a little bit of underrated. You know how when like a you know how when a chick, you can tell she put like a lot of effort into looking like she didn't try. Like she's going to the grocery store and she's wearing the workout clothes, but you can tell that there was a little bit of thought put into the workout clothes and there's makeup and stuff like that. I feel like that's Nick Caley. Like he's gonna throw on the gear, but I feel like he's putting a little bit of effort into it. But he is hard to spot. You don't know what he's gonna wear.
Mm-hmm.
Never tell. And he kind of blends in with a lot of these folks around here. We're being honest.
And one thing I do like about Caley that was different than Bobby Slowick, he calls plays from the sideline. Slowick would call plays from behind the play. So I think that's interesting.
Yeah, speaking of calling plays, there was another observation you picked up.
Oh yeah,
I'm surprised we almost got out of here without giving y'all this.
Yeah, Matt Burke was calling the plays in the goal line situation.
Yes, he was. He was getting his opportunity. D'Amico letting him have a rep. I heard what D'Amico said. I read his lips, and I thought it was a little bit inappropriate.
It was kind of funny because Burke called the play, and D'Amico Ryans is standing there with him, like watching him call the play. And then, like, you could see, like, D'Amico kind of, like, approved of the play. He was like, yeah. It's one of those, okay, you did a good job. It's good play call.
I thought I saw D'Amico. Don't quote me on this. I thought I saw him tell Burke, hey, handle my lightweight. When Slovis was getting a lot of the reps in red zone, I think D'Amico basically just said handle. I read the lip. I'm not a good lip reader, but I think as soon as he saw Slovis coming out, he told Burke, hey, handle my lightweight, call the defense.
I don't think that's what he said.
That's what I heard. That's what I saw. I'm not a good lip reader. It was hot, but that's what I thought. DeRhino says I need to hit myself with it for saying that Nick Caley blends in.
Race car!
Sorry.
He's being in the sun, though, he's going to tan a little bit. Slowick did not take to the sun well.
Spot, man.
He looked like a vampire out there.
Yeah, he got red, dude. He turned into a damn cherry. That was one of the things that McDaniel made fun of him about, the SPF and everything like that. I wonder how Bobby is.
It's probably trying to figure out how to keep Tua healthy.
Nah, he's not that important. He ain't figuring all that out. He's just kind of hanging. But yeah, the Caley thing is interesting because he does have like a different vibe. It's not, they keep saying how wired up he is and everything like that. He seems active. The crazy son of a gun out there to me is Popovich. Like that's the noticeable one. Like Caley just seems like it doesn't seem much different than any other OC. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm sure CJ says that he calls him and there's like that, but like just the early observations, he's very observant. It's very vocal, but it's not like animated or like wired up or anything like that. But Cole Popovich is crazy.
You can almost hear him, and the offensive line literally practices as far away from us as possible. And you can, like, sometimes you're like, oh, it's Cole Popovich.
Yeah, he's the crazy one. Caley's just kind of doing his thing, but Popovich is nuts. He's out there coaching these offensive line.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what we got today. We appreciate everyone for coming through. CJ Stroud, he threw. He did not have surgery. Higgins, hell of a day. Defense, if it wins championships, you should feel pretty good. Don't know if it does or not. Appreciate everyone for rolling through. Subscribe, like, ride along. Always remember, just because Cody hates just because Cody hates Nick Caley for having good hygiene does not mean that it's a bad thing. And always remember, we're in this together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.